Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Nina Kauser Show. We're in touching distance of the end of the season and there's still so much to play for. What a wonderful weekend we've had. The Reds securing their second trophy of the season. Happy days indeed. The quadruple still pretty much looks alive. It's going down. It's going down to the last game of the season. And you know what? Things are heating up. So it's only fair that I bring the fire with my guests. So you know what? Let me introduce them to you. First up, I am delighted to be joined back again with Steve, who is on quite a good streak at the moment because he was on the post-match FA Cup game as well, the post-match show for that one. So, Steve, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
It's wonderful to have you on, my friend, and it's great that you're contributing to this show. It means an absolute great deal to me. And joining Steve, I have somebody who has an impeccable record when it comes to these late night kickoffs. Should I be stressed? Did I get stressed when Southampton scored? No, I didn't, because you know what? You got to hold the faith. You got to keep positive. And plus, I'm not a superstitious person, but I had Karl on this show, so it's kind of it's a show thing. Karl, welcome back.
I mean, I was the exact same, Nina. You know, the goal went in. You know, we had a bit of a fringe team out, but then I remembered the midweek record, and my mind rested easy. And of course, the lads came through for us, so we can keep the streak going.
We can, yeah. I mean, I literally kept a straight face when Redmond scored. Not gonna lie, I was just like, yeah, it can happen. But you know what? Guys, thank you both for joining us. We have a couple of callers, so I'm going to get through real quick. Let them have their shout outs and let them have their thoughts because it is getting a bit late here. So first up, I am delighted to be joined back with Kieran. He didn't call last time I was on the post-match show, but it's great to have him back. Kieran, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Delighted to have you back on again, my friend. You know the drill on the Nina Kauser Show, so the floor is yours.
Yeah, it's a big one to take the title race down to the last day at the very least. I thought, considering the amount of changes we made to the lineup, I thought it was a good performance from the lads. You know, we created plenty of chances. I mean, we don't get off the best of starts when we concede that goal. You know, it's one of them, can happen. But I thought after that we responded very well and we kept pressing and we got rewarded with 2 goals that could be massive.
Could be massive, absolutely. And I mean, I know we probably shouldn't ask you this, but like, how are you feeling for Saturday? You know, for the last game of the season, how are you feeling?
I'm pretty calm. Look, whatever happens, you know what I mean. You know, at the end of the day, City are still massive favourites for the title. It's in their hands ultimately, but you know, weird things have happened. But look, whatever the outcome is, I'll just be proud of this group of players, as I know they've given absolutely everything, and that's all we can ask for, really.
Couldn't agree more, my friend Kieran. Kieran, thank you so much for calling. I'm sure we'll talk about the team lineup and all those things as well, but it's an absolute pleasure having you back on, and thank you for that. And yep, I completely echo that. Completely proud of these lads. That was Kieran, our first caller, joining me next. I mean, it's a familiar voice on the Nina Kauser Show. You've heard her many a times on this podcast. She's awesome. You also hear her on the main Anfield Index podcast, Keeping Cambridge in Check, and Trev Downey. It is the legendary Lisa Marie. Welcome to the Nina Kauser Show as a caller.
It does feel a little different to be on this side of the panel. Haven't done that for a long time. So yeah. So what can I say? I just want to say I love Taki Minamino. I just do. I just adore him. Because, he just seems to come up with the goals for us when we need him to. And I just think that really just can't be said enough, that he's just kind of quiet and in the background. And when we need him to step up, he does. He did it all season for the Cups, and then he did it again today. And just with the number of changes in the starting lineup, I think they all did very well. I know you guys will get into that, but it just goes to show, we all talk about what is typically the starting 11 and how fantastic they are, but it's the next 11 too, I suppose. It's just the entire squad. And, no matter what happens, we can just be proud of this Liverpool team and what they have done this season.
Absolutely. And you know what? We could not agree more, Lisa. And you know what? Both you and Kieran have kind of touched on the starting lineup. So you know what? I am going to come to my panel and we're going to talk about that exact same thing, because that's how we kind of start off the show. So, Steve, I'm going to come to you. Of course, still pretty much a lot to play for before this game, but we also knew that there was a few injuries. Jurgen Klopp had to make a few subs over the weekend against Chelsea in the FA Cup. So the starting lineup, you look at that starting lineup, you've got Alisson Becker, Shimikas, Konate, Matip, Gomez, midfield of Milner, Jones, Elliott, Minamino, Firmino and Jota leading the attack. What did you make of that? And, again, both Lisa and Kieran have said they literally played really well. And I think a few years ago, we would have been in a position where you absolutely looked at that bench and it would kind of be a little bit uninspiring. No disrespect and no shade, but these players, they're decent. They actually have a genuine chance of breaking through. It's like they've got a point to prove. They almost know that they are good enough to do it if they really push themselves and apply themselves. I think Jurgen Klopp's got a fantastic squad here, but I want to get your thoughts on the starting 11. Were you surprised? Any shockers there for you?
It's the 11 I wanted to see start. It's not the 11 I thought would start. I didn't think Klopp would go for Harvey and Curtis, but I was properly excited to see that team. And if you don't call this week's show Tacky Top Bins, I am going to be thoroughly disappointed, because he was brilliant, and that was just such a tacky moment, wasn't it? But yeah, the team, I thought it was a really positive 11. We had to have one of the centre backs in from the weekend, and I think if anyone's going to handle the minutes, Ibu's been managed pretty well this year, so I wasn't too concerned. And today he kind of strolled round with a big presence and didn't look too out of shape for the match. Matip, Gomez, Tsimikas all had to play. It was a game that was perfect for all of them, to be honest. I was really pleased to see them all starting. And as I said, I didn't expect that midfield, but I was really excited about it. Surprised Milner lasted as long as he did, but I guess that's purely down to Gomez's injury. And then the front three, that was probably the best we could have hoped for. Divy's probably not starting another game for us, but at least we got to see him come on. Tacky is Tacky. Bobby is, I definitely have my man crush on Bobby Firmino, so I was really pleased to see him start today and see him playing with a smile on his face and seeing him on the bench after he came off in the 93rd minute throwing water bottles at people, laughing and smiling.
Yeah,
the world is a better place when Bobby Firmino is happy, and Jota just needs to get played into form. So again, I was glad he started, and it was a reasonably balanced lineup, as much as it can be with that front three. I was a little bit worried about Bobby and Tacky and Elliott getting each other's way, but apart from that, it was, it's what I wanted to see, and I was really, really pleased with it. And it paid off.
It absolutely did. And Karl, I'm going to come to you. Your thoughts on the starting lineup. The midfield really kind of made me laugh, because he had two little babies, and then you've got senior member James Milner in there. But I want to get your thoughts on the starting lineup. Any surprises for you? Given the fact that I think a lot of, maybe some small-minded people when it comes to that kind of football, there's still so much to play for, but, Klopp has fielded kind of a weaker side, and, you will get those kind of people who may have looked at it like that, like Klopp's more focusing on the Champions League. What did you think of the starting lineup and how they did? Because I thought they did pretty well.
Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised that there were so many changes. Obviously, Klopp wants to take it to the final day, but at the same time, he doesn't want to do so in the process of breaking his team for the Champions League final. And we've seen in the past week or so, Fabinho go down with injury, Salah go down with injury, Van Dijk go down with
Yes.
a knock. You know, we can't risk any more players breaking on us. So I wasn't surprised with the amount of changes. There was a couple of surprises, though. I mean, I think we went a bit stronger in attack than I would have expected. I was surprised to see Jota start because he practically played 90 minutes in the cup final, having come on for Salah early doors. So I was surprised not to see Origi start. And then in midfield, similar to Steve, I was surprised to see the two young lads get the nod. I would have thought maybe Jones and Milner would start along with one of the other three senior lads, and then maybe we'd see kind of Henderson say play 45 minutes and then Keita play the second half, something like that. But you know, I'm glad that Harvey Elliott was brought back in. You know, he hasn't featured much of late, and he was so good earlier in the season. He's such an exciting prospect, and I think he showed today what we've missed when he hasn't been playing many minutes in the past few months, because he's just such a talented footballer.
No, he really is. And yeah, I thought he had a really, really good game as well. But I'm going to go through some shout outs, and obviously we'll do some player focus of some of the players that played as well. Steve Pizza, the legendary Steve Pizza, who I think will be at the games against Wolves. He was at the last one as well, when obviously Man City beat Brighton, and we were happy for like 3 minutes. So Steve will be at that game, hopefully. But at the moment, Steve just messaged us on Discord saying at work, so can't call up. Just to say, up the amazing quadruple Reds to the very last fucking breath. Somebody's absolutely delighted with the Reds, and rightly so. Right, let's kind of do some of these player focus things. So I've got another question here. We'll get to Lisa Maurice as well, and we'll talk about Minamino and, of course, some of the players that played today. You Never Walk Alone Foodie here. He has a question for the panel. So, Karl, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Question for the panel. Konate, what a player we have. Do you think he will start the Champions League final? And will he be number one with Virgil van Dijk next season? I'm really intrigued to hear what you have to say on this, because I'm pretty sure I heard Jamie Carragher say what a signing he's been. I think Jamie Carragher was under the illusion that this guy is basically going to play second fiddle to Matip, which kind of made me chuckle a little. But I want to get your thoughts on him, because to me, I think when I think of the Champions League team that Jurgen Klopp fields, Konate always plays with Virgil van Dijk, and he's just looked sensational in my opinion. I thought he was great in the final as well against Chelsea. But I want to get your thoughts on him. I just think he's just this big presence that you just do not want to mess with.
Yeah, I think, on Konate in general, I mean, what a player indeed. I mean, he's so young, but he looks so established as a centre half, and it's usually a position where players don't really peak until they're maybe in their mid-20s, but already he looks like he's almost yes, once in a while he shows his age and maybe goes to ground when he shouldn't, but that's only natural for a young centre back. But I mean, what a play. He's similar to Van Dijk in so many ways, in that he just doesn't seem to have any weaknesses. He has the pace, he has the size, the power, he has the engine. It's just crazy how good he is. And to be honest, I was shocked that we got him, because I thought really with the likes of Chelsea and United being linked with centre halves, and obviously they tend to pay much higher wages than us, I thought we'd get blown out of the water there. But it felt almost like we had a free run at him, and I'm so glad we did. But I mean, in terms of who'll start, it is tough, because you look at Joel Matip, and last summer I thought maybe, given the injuries for Matip last season, that maybe he was going to move on, and we had to kind of give up on him. But he's really proven me and a lot of other people wrong this season, in the way he's been a stalwart, and he hasn't had the injuries this season, and he's played the majority of league games. But we've seen in more recent weeks maybe that Konate is getting more time, and there was a big debate coming into the FA Cup final on who'd start. Would he go with the experience of Matip, or would he go with the pace of Konate? Even though Chelsea probably don't really threaten with pace as much as Madrid will, and I mean that's another consideration. What is Madrid's biggest threat is probably Vinicius on the left side. His pace, we he terrorized us last season, and we know obviously we didn't have our first choice centre backs then, but it's so important to be able to match him stride for stride, and obviously Konate has that, but then at the same time Matip has the newest, and we know obviously Benzema is a massive threat as well. So I right now, looking forward, I'd say, considering the FA Cup choice, I'd probably say Konate is gonna get the nod, but at the same time, you wouldn't be shocked to see Joel Matip in the starting lineup, and it's a great headache to have. Let's be honest.
It is like zero complaints. Let's not forget what kind of defenders we used to have not so long ago. But moving on, because these are happy occasions. Steve, I'm going to come to you. I mean, your thoughts on Konate and the question, if you want me to repeat it at will. Konate, what a player we have. Do you think he will start the Champions League and start as the number one next to Virgil van Dijk next season?
I think he starts in the final. I think the question's actually who starts out of Matip and Van Dijk, and will Van Dijk be ready? Because if it is his bad knee, right, that's a concern. Hopefully, obviously he can play, but if he can't play, we've still got two fairly incredible centre halves. I kind of think that Ibu and Van Dijk are probably, if not already going to be probably the best centre-half pairing since maybe Maldini and Nesta when they were in their absolute prime.
Yeah.
But they always had absolutely fantastic backups, players like Costa Curta, which is where, Gomez and Matip do fit in. So I do think he starts in the final. I do think he's first choice next year. But however, because of his injuries and because the club have learned how to manage players, and look how they've got Matip back to his best, look how they've got Keita back this year, I do think he'll be first choice, but he will rotate enough to keep Matip busy.
It's a great conundrum to have, absolutely. My personal preference, I would like to see Konate start in the Champions League final, purely because you know what, it was really interesting because I don't have many recollections of Joel Matip and Konate playing together as a centre-back pairing, but obviously we saw it against Chelsea, and for a part, they look pretty decent and solid. I thought Konate looked really, really good. I think Matip, when he came on, he was excellent. And today, I think they've showed it again. So that is, you want Virgil van Dijk to start. You absolutely do. But what you've just said there, Steve, with regards to if Virgil van Dijk does not come back, we're going to have to watch this space. The fact that these two have played and they look decent together, that gives me a lot of comfort. And with players like, I don't know, you're looking at Real Madrid and the threats that they have with the likes of Karim Benzema, you know what kind of player he is, and you kind of want your best defenders. So in that, regardless, for me, Ibrahima Konate has to be in there for that and those kind of threats, because we know that this Real Madrid team does not give up, as Pep Guardiola and Man City know. I hope we've answered that. You never walk alone, Foodie. Let's keep going. We'll go to Lisa Marie's question now. Steve, I'm going to stick to you. Again, Taki Minamino. I love the fact that she kind of highlighted, and there's loads of stats going around, that he was our leading goal scorer in the both domestic cups. I also love the fact that he played the entire full game. Like he lasted the entire game. He played really well. He looked sharp. He was getting into spaces. He was kind of showing some strength as well. I still think he needs to work on that. But for me, he looked really good and he took his goal so well. Keeper could have done better, but we're not getting into that. We'll take that all day long. But to me, he just looks really good. And what I really like about him, Steve, is the fact that I think he's technically very good. I don't know, his touch is always, for most parts, always great. His first touch.
Yeah, I think he's a good one-touch footballer. I think he's a really smart player when he has to make quick decisions. So it's that quick. The 1-2s he was playing with Bobby and Elliott today, getting around the box, trying to play off Jota a couple of times. I think those snapshot decisions and his technique, I think he's really good. I think where he falls down is where he gets too much time on the ball, and then he looks up and he sees too many options, and that's where he gets bogged down in it, I think. But I think when the game's moving quickly around him, I think he's brilliant. And that goal today for me was an absolute stereotypical tacky goal. It was a wonderful little sort of layoff to him. and he doesn't think, and he just smashes it in the top corner. I'm sorry, but unless you're Big Al, you're not getting near that, because he properly smashed that in the top bins. It was a wonderful, wonderful strike. And again, he's got that sort of Bobby thing, hasn't he? When Taki's smiling, the whole world feels a better place. He's such a cheerful, enjoyable footballer to watch. And I thought he played really well. I thought he was linking play all day long, dropping into positions. I know he's been a fantastic player throughout the cups. What's he? 9 goals, top, as Lee said, top scorer in both of the cups, and a goal every 95 minutes this season, or something like that. Might be slightly long after the match, but I mean, what a record for our 6th choice striker, right? And I hope he stays. I hope he wants to be part of the squad. I hope he wants to keep winning trophies with us, because I do think he gives us another dimension. I think he gives us, when we're playing the team like we're playing today, a bit of quick thinking, creativity, as opposed to Bobby, who can sometimes slow the ball down if he's not playing well. Or obviously, we all know that Divi is a scorer of great goals, not a great goal scorer, and we don't know what's going to happen with him going. But I do hope he stays. I do like what he does on and off the ball. And I thought I was really, really happy for him today. I was really hoping that him or Bobby would score as soon as I saw the lineup.
Yes, we have the messages for it. I'm so glad, Steve, you've touched on the fact that you would like him to stay, because I pretty much feel the exact same way. You definitely need quality in your squad, and I hope he sticks around. Karl, I'm going to come to you and with Lisa's thoughts basically on Taki Minamino, and this podcast is apparently called Taki Top Bins. So over to you, Karl. What did you make of him? What impresses you about him?
For me, first and foremost is his attitude. Look at the situation he found himself in. He was loaned out to Southampton last season, and generally that's a death sentence for a Liverpool player under Jurgen Klopp. We've had it in the past where people have talked. We've all been guilty of it. We've talked about Grujic or Markovic in Klopp's first season. Klopp said he was a talented player, and that it was because we didn't have European football and so on that he decided to loan him out that season. But we all knew we all knew eventually they weren't coming back. And I had that feeling about Minamino. I thought he was going to be sold in the summer, and there obviously was rumours of Southampton making it permanent and a couple other clubs linked, but obviously that didn't happen. And he kept his head down, and every chance he's been given, and it's generally been in the cups, he's taken it. He's been well involved, not just his goals, but just his general play. And I think a few months ago there was an interview with him where he said he wants to, he's the first Asian to play for Liverpool, and he wants to make that count. He wants to, he doesn't just want to be a bit part player. And he's shown that in his attitude on the pitch, and maybe ultimately he won't get to be a regular, and that's no slight on him. That's simply because there's just a crazy amount of attacking talent at the club at the moment. But he should certainly count himself among that talent, because he's an excellent player. And as Steve said, there's not many players out there that are as good when it comes to just that one touch football, be that either link and play or taking shots. Like he's an excellent player, and I'm never concerned when I see him on the team sheet, because I know he's going to give it his all, and he's going to pose a threat to the opposition.
Yeah, he definitely gives me like Roberto Firmino vibes, when Roberto Firmino was just like basically playing beach football, where he would just him and Coutinho used to play, and they were both thriving. And even Roberto Firmino, when he was in the form of his life, when he was playing, pulling the strings just behind Mo Salah and Sadio Mane. I adore him. I want him to stay. I think, Lisa, you will be happy to know that we all feel the same way when it comes to Taki Minamino. We hope he stays, and he just, another dimension to the attack. I'm really, really thrilled with him. Right, guys, let's kind of move on. Let's maybe talk about some other players who fielded today. Karl, I'll come to you. Harvey Elliott, the lad is literally living his dream. Yeah, playing for Liverpool. He looked so bright at the beginning of the season, and of course, unfortunately, got that horrible injury against Leeds. To be honest, I'm gonna be honest, I've not really seen him much. But he played today, and he looked decent. And again, a different setup for him, because usually he's always on the right hand side, and it's always somebody like Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So it was a completely different setup for him, and it didn't faze him at all.
No, I mean the kid has so much confidence from day one. You know, he never showed any nerves, which you would expect a young player to show. I mean, granted, I'm not saying every game has gone completely smoothly for him, but that's not due to nerves or a lack of confidence, because he has that in spades. And I mean, it was unfortunate what happened against Leeds, because at that time there was kind of Liverpool football writers and stuff that were kind of posing the question, you know, was Harvey Elliott in Klopp's preferred midfield three? And I was talking about Fabinho, Thiago, and Elliott maybe being the three that Klopp was going to run with. And obviously then Elliott got injured and Thiago had his own injury problems earlier in the season, and we didn't really get to see much of that midfield, unfortunately. But you know, it was never going to finish on that injury. You know, even with the, obviously, you know, he's had to bide his time, and you know, and it's as I said earlier in the show, it's surprising it took us this long to see him again. But you know, he got back in and he's shown what we were missing, really. You know, and it's just so exciting now. And next season, when he's had another full pre-season under his belt, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more minutes from him next season. And I mean, he just gives us something different. I mean, I couldn't help think watching it today, you know, the little clever balls he was chipping in and stuff. You know, could he have been what we missed against Spurs when we were trying to find a way through their back five the other day? Obviously, hindsight's 2020 and all that, but he may well have been an option. He will be an option in that sense in games moving forward. So it's great to have him.
It is, absolutely. Steve, I'm going to come to you. Same question. I want to get your thoughts on Harvey Elliott, and I guess something that that just sort of came to me as Karl was speaking. You know, he's a young lad, and he's at the very least won two medals this season. And what does that do for a young player? You know, like that must just build so much confidence, because you know, success breeds success, and you know, we're certainly seeing this with this Liverpool team now. You know, Jordan Henderson had to wait a while before, you know, he picked up some silverware. So I want to get your thoughts just on that whole situation with regards to Harvey Elliott and these young players like Curtis Jones.
I thought Harvey was absolutely sensational today. He's got that thing Thiago's got, right? The amount of times today. So it was in just before he came off. He helps win the ball back in our right corner. I think Hendo wins the ball, plays the ball to him, and pretty much any other player under pressure, three players around him, just smashes the ball up line and gets rid. And he just stands up and very calmly just plays the ball inside to, I can't remember who it is, one of our players in the box who's got no one around them, and then we hit them on the break. There was a really lovely break in the second half as well, where it's like, what did I write down? It's Elliott and linking up with who? I didn't write it down. There's a really lovely break. I think he does a 1-2 with Bobby, and then Bobby takes the shot, doesn't he, from outside the box? And but his quick thinking, he plays the right ball, he makes the right decision, and the way he strikes the ball just makes me think of Thiago, which is, I just think, the best compliment you can play somebody who, you know, is converting from effectively being a right-sided forward for Blackburn on loan last year to a number 8 for us. And I think the trophies will be great for his confidence, but I genuinely think playing in training alongside one of the all-time great centre midfield playmakers is what is going to turn him into an absolutely sensational talent. And I think he'll be learning off, you know, Hendo's model professional behaviour, Millie's behaviour. Naby is such a humble, brilliant player. I think he'll go from strength to strength to strength. I know a lot of people think that he'll lose his place to Carvalho, but I don't think he will. I think they'll probably complement each other. I think, unfortunately, I think it's Jones is going to miss out when new players come in, because I don't think he's taking the step that Elliott is taking. Elliott looks like he's going to be phenomenal, but his decision making, I know the passes don't always come off, but his decision making is brilliant. And where I'm a big fan of CJ, and he was really good today, and he's really positive for the ball at his feet, and he drives forward, he tries to make the right decision. But the amount of times where he releases the ball a second too slowly, or there's 2 or 3 players in front of him and he doesn't pick the player that everyone's screaming out for. And I'm not sure CJ's quite got that decision making. And it's a natural thing, right? No, I can't think as quickly as these kids with a football at my feet.
Yeah.
Maybe an Excel spreadsheet, but not a football. So I'm really excited about Elliott. I thought he was really good today. I'm not glad that he came off. I'm glad that Klopp managed his minutes and is going to manage expectations. And I hope to see a lot of him next season. But I kind of also feel for CJ, because he was good today, but I'm not convinced he'll be anything more than a squad player for us. And I think he wants to play more.
That's really interesting because, Curtis Jones has, played a few games, and, the little cameos he's had, he's done quite well. And I can't think who was on the post-match show, but said that, obviously he's probably looking at somebody like Thiago as a mentor. So, you know what, just a quick one on Curtis Jones. I mean, we know that the loan move did a world of wonders for Harvey Elliott, when his time at Blackburn. So, I mean, do you think maybe, what would be more beneficial? I want to ask both of you this. Would it be more beneficial for him to kind of stick around and be like a little understudy and kind of use these players as a mentor? Or do you think he actually needs some playing time and that will actually improve his decision making? Karl, I'll come to you first on this one, because he is a young lad still.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately on what will happen, I think with Klopp generally in these situations, he leaves it with the players. If they come to him and say, look, I want to move and play more football, he'll try and accommodate that. But and that may be something that happens if, as rumours suggest, we bring in another kind of top choice centre mid, and also with as Steve mentioned, Carvalho coming in. But in terms of what I think would be beneficial, I do think Jones could benefit from going somewhere on loan. I mean, I know I posed the question to Dave for his daily show at one point, where would be a good team for Jones to go on loan. I think at the time he talked about Norwich. But I do think that as Steve said, decision making is the big problem for Jones. I think he worked his socks off today. I think he's a brilliant ball carrier. I mean, he's one of the best we have. But sometimes he just takes the ball that too far. He'll beat the 2 players fine. You want him to just pop it off to the forward, and he'll try and beat a 3rd player, and he runs into traffic. Or sometimes you get the reverse and he just tries the kind of Hollywood pass that's just never on, and he loses the ball that way. And, I think the only chance he has of kind of ironing that out of his game and getting that decision making is going and playing week in, week out. And the reality is, even right now with Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson and Keita, that's not going to happen. If you add, another top class midfielder to that and Carvalho, that's even less likely to happen. So, I mean, I think the opportunity might be there for him to move on. I think ultimately it'll be up to Jones, and it's difficult to say which way he's going to go. He is a local lad at the end of the day, and being at Liverpool is most likely his boyhood dream. So I'm sure emotions will play a big part there, but it will be interesting to see where his future ends up in the summer.
I've got a response from Steve W here in Discord. I don't think we loan the first squad members anymore. They can learn more in training at AXA than on loan. It'll just be very interesting to see how that one goes. Right, Steve, I'll ask you the same question. Stay or on loan?
I think he needs to go on loan. I think what he needs to develop now is to be in a team where he's playing week in, week out, where he's part of the first team squad. And I don't mean a relegation battling team. I mean a mid-table team that needs him to be their progressive midfielder in the Premier League, or a team in the Europa League that are going to promise to play in 30 games a season. And we know the club are really good at putting clauses in with loan clubs where they have to actually get the player on the pitch. There'll be loads of links to Stevie Gerrard and Villa over the summer. I don't think a club like that would be a bad idea. I don't know where he fits in for them. But if you just look at Conor Gallagher, right, for Palace this year, he's gone there and he's gone from strength to strength to strength over the season. And with their ownership changes, it's gone from, Chelsea selling him to a profit. All the Chelsea fans I work with and, talking to guys who are data analysts and all sorts about him, they all can't wait to get him back at Chelsea, part of the squad. Don't sell him, sell other players and keep him, make him part of the team. And if Jones went to a Palace, a Villa, a West Ham and played 25, 30 Premier League games as a starter and a few cup games and really developed, then he might come back and be the player that we missed since Ox's injury. That midfielder who picks the ball up and drives it forward and tries to be positive in a different way to Thiago, because I think he's better moving the ball forward with him as opposed to passing it, right? He seems to get a lot of progressive moments with the ball at his feet. And that would be amazing if he came back and he was better than Ox, and we've got that option from the bench and we've got that option for, squad rotation, and he could be a really important player. But I think he needs that season to find out, is he a Liverpool level starter or rotation piece, or is he a Premier League mid-table, big fish, small pond player? So that's why I'd really like to see him go. And I think somewhere like Palace and playing with Vieira would be absolutely perfect for him.
Interesting. We'll have to just watch this space on that one. Karl, I'm going to come back to you, back to the game, back to the Bobby Firmino show. Almost got a no-look goal, but it was kind of offside header. I thought he had a really good game. I think everyone kind of alluded to it. I think Steve did as well. The fact that, when he's happy, everything just seems to be better. He seems like he's really enjoying his football. Of course, he had that injury. We saw him feature in the FA Cup. It's good to see him back. He looks really bright again. And I feel like when he's like that and in that mood, I just feel like he just sort of re-energizes the attack, regardless of his age, regardless of the goals or lack of goals thereof. I just think he's just I call him a string puller. You see him at the back just kind of pulling the strings. He's almost like Sadio Mane and, the Mo Salahs and the Diaz's might be the engines in terms of the legs, but he's like, I call him the brain.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly an important player for us, even if he isn't a regular per se these days. I mean, he was a big miss against Tottenham.
Yes.
He could have well been the difference. I think at times Mane struggled with the kind of the congestion in the centre, whereas Bobby has dealt with that many times in playing in that false nine, and he's still able to wiggle free and pop off the ball to one of the wide lads. So, I mean, I think he is another one that could well have made a difference in that game. He came back in the FA Cup final. He came on, obviously, as he was coming on, we thought maybe he was going to come on and be the hero. Being honest, he didn't look match fit coming on, which is understandable because he had been off for a few weeks. But a lot changed in the past 3 days because he looked super sharp today. I think at one point there was a loose ball, and I thought he was second favourite for it, and he somehow got to it and laid it off out wide. I mean, he was so sharp today, so clever. I think Sky ultimately gave him man of the match, and he certainly was one of the contenders there. It was an excellent match for him, and it's just great to have him back and have him fit because we're going to need every tool at our disposal if we're to win this Champions League final, because Real Madrid might not be the best 11, but they do have a lot of good options on the bench, and they can go for 90 minutes, 120 minutes if required, and we need to be able to match them in that sense. So having the likes of Bobby, even if he is unlikely to start, to come on is really important. So I'm just glad he's come back at this point.
Yeah, a perfect time to have him fit and match ready. And Steve, I'm going to come to you. Talk to me about Roberto Firmino. I mean, I just think, I think a majority of Liverpool fans absolutely love him. I think there was there was worry and rightly so, certainly last season and, towards even the season when we won the league towards the end where he didn't quite look himself, when the season sort of resumed after, when COVID happened. But I think all the players looked that way. It just looked very strange, but he's one of those players that people seem to think that, he's coming towards the end with, the sort of change up in the attack, but he does really well today. For me, he looked really bright. I love his energy. I love his pressing. He looked really, really sharp today. He was sort of fizzing in the balls, trying to force their defenders into errors, doing so much. So I want to get your thoughts on Roberto Firmino, because for me, he looked like the player from maybe 3-4 years ago today.
Yeah, look, I'm massively biased. I've been supporting Liverpool since the early 90s, and I've only ever once had a player's name on my shirt, and that's Bobby Firmino, the season we won the league.
Yes.
I absolutely love him. And he's not our best player, right? There's been players who have been better at so many things, but there's just something about him, his attitude, his smile, his no-look, his karate kicks, there's something charming about seeing him play football, and he just makes football seem like the most delightful thing in the world, watching him play. And I really, really enjoyed his game full stop today. I thought he was playing really well on, through the middle, linking up play, dropping deep. Had he stayed onside, and literally a no-look header would have been the ultimate way for him to get on the score sheet. And I still think he's got an important goal in this season. But what I really, really enjoyed is the second half, and I was trying to focus on him as much as possible once we started making substitutions, because he really was playing that right-sided 8 role. He was dropping into midfield in deep positions and the positions that Elliott was taking up, as well as linking up with the forwards. But he wasn't playing as a second striker. He really was playing as that midfielder. And I think, he was a centre midfielder, like attacking midfielder when we signed him, and you can see Klopp is changing the shape of our front three. You can see with Diaz what Diaz has brought to the team, how he's trying to change Mane's game to see if he can prolong his career as a 9. We've stopped the experiment of playing Mo through the middle, and Mo is very, very much just the best right-sided, attacker in the world now. So just play him there. And I really do wonder if the rumours are true that Ox may leave, that Milner's not going to sign a contract, that CJ might get loaned out. Hendo's minutes will slowly start to decrease because he does get injuries in Ox and he'll still be important. But we're going to even if we sign something, we're going to need more minutes in midfield. And it wouldn't surprise me if we spent a season watching Bobby flip between that right-sided 8 and his usual position.
We kind of saw that today, didn't we? When Elliott came on, Origi came on, it was, and you know what? I was one bit phased by that. I didn't for a second think, oh God, what's going to happen to our shape? What's going to happen because of the play that Roberto Firmino is and what he does. And, even in the past when our midfield looked a bit suspect in previous seasons, you always see him drop back, don't you? It's just something natural to him where he feels the need to chip into the midfield, win the ball back from there and try, distributing it forward.
But he's so intelligent. He's got wonderful passing, incredible technique. He can tackle, he can win a ball, he can press, he can intercept. Like, he could be an absolutely phenomenal right-sided 8 for us, or even left-sided 8. He could just be a brilliant centre midfielder for us if he wants to do it. And I hope he stays for a long time, and maybe that is the next evolution, because I thought he was really good when he dropped into that role this afternoon, and I want to see more of it from what I saw today.
Lovely stuff. Watch this space. And also with Carvalho coming as well, I think he's going to be like a number 10 as well, isn't he? I think he'll be probably more like a Coutinho-esque kind of player. Young, exciting. So, there'll definitely be a lot of options for Jurgen Klopp. I think people will be just really looking at this setup and the conundrum of how we play. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think players like Ox, Chamberlain definitely, unfortunately, will be going purely because I don't think he can make the team anymore, which is a shame. And also his injuries haven't helped him. But he's been wonderful. I really like him, but it looks highly likely that he'll be off. Karl, I'm going to come back to you. Let's carry on talking about this game. Of course, we talk about Taki's goal there, and rightly so. But I have a question or a thought here. Let me see. Yep, it's from Jib, and he goes, anyone know why VAR didn't bring the goal back for a foul? And of course, he's talking about Redmond's goal and the foul on Jota. Talk to me about that one, because when Redmond scored, obviously it all happened from the right-hand side. He took it really well as well, to be fair. You know, he just runs, cuts in, just takes it, boom. You can't really do much about that. Of course, they take the lead. But, you know, there was a foul on Jota, and Jurgen Klopp was absolutely furious. So your thoughts on the question, and, you know, how was your heart rate when they scored first? Because I was pretty fine, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of VAR, I wasn't too bothered with VAR because obviously there was a bit of a stretch between the foul and the goal that Liverpool would have been deemed to have had a chance to reset, and you know we should have dealt better with it regardless of the foul. You know, I think the midfield kind of went missing in a defensive sense for that one, but you do have to point the finger at the ref because he was in a good position to see the foul and somehow he thought it was a fair challenge. I don't get it. Like, clear as day, he goes through the player to get the ball. You know, Martin Tyler liked to point out how it was an alleged foul, you know, but he's a commentator there getting the benefit of the replay. I think he has the opportunity to say if it's a foul or not, to just kill him to admit anything Liverpool's way. It was a poor decision by the ref. I mean, to kind of parish Steven Gerrard in regards to another ref on the weekend. It's you could say maybe it's good he's retiring, maybe it's the right time. But I mean, it's as you said, I wasn't too concerned. Of course, I was disappointed we conceded, and as I said, there was flaws to be found in our defending, maybe on the goal. But overall, we'd been playing well, and you know we had some good options on the bench. So with so much time to go, I wasn't panicked. I know this Southampton team give up a lot of goals. They have, especially in recent weeks. So I was always confident that we could find our way back in.
Absolutely. I mean, the first thought that did come into my mind when Redmond's goal was, like, when he scored, was, you lot should be on the beach. What you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, you literally, stop it. Steve, I'm going to come to you. Same question. Jib's question there about VAR and the foul on Jota, and, you know, Jurgen Klopp not being happy with that. And, yeah, the ref just holding up the high standard of officiating in the Premier League. But I'll let you have your say on this one.
I'll keep it brief. I think the UP boys covered it this week. The rules are crap. I don't think the VAR is allowed to go back that far. And football sometimes needs to stop and look at just how VAR is used, full stop. Just need to sit back and look at how well rugby use the television match official, because it just works. It's massively improved the game. It's made it more enjoyable. Having the mics on and hearing the conversations with the referee, taking the ball back several phases of play to go, this is where there was a foul at this point. It's impacted the game. Don't allow the try, right? Like, we need to, that should come to football. But the rules are crap. So because the referee didn't give the foul, it was never going to get given. So the goal has to stand within the rules, and it's bollocks because it was a foul.
I like it. Short, sweet, and to the point, which I love to hear. Steve, I'm going to stick with you. I mean, I felt like, you know, Liverpool kind of, I don't know, like controlled. I thought we played really well. You know, there's players like Chimikas who played really well, and talk to me about Joel Matip's goal, because that was the most effortless header ever. He didn't even jump. It was brilliant. Chimikas' corner. I don't know if it took a deflection. I don't know what was going on. I've not even looked to see who they've given it to. Did it ricochet off the defender and then ping pong back onto his head? I don't know what happened there, but it was the most bizarrest header ever. It was in slow motion.
And it's going to make the most wonderful out of context Matip tweet, isn't it? It's going to be wonderful memes. I said to Guy on Saturday, was it Saturday? This is what happens when you get concussion, you forget shit. I'm sure it was Saturday. I said to Guy that there's definitely a clutch Matip goal coming before the end of the season, and I am definitely with Mr. Drinkle as part of the Costas Tsimikas Albi replacement fan club. I thought he was really good today. I thought he was really positive. And it was, even though it was a deflected corner, does it count as a deflection? He's crossed the ball in and the defender's basically headed it to Joel. And Joel's kind of bent over a bit like imagine if you were trying to like replicate a football match with a Lego man, and he's kind of bent over like a Lego man, hasn't he? And somehow headed the ball in. And then it's looped in slow-mo. It was just so Joel Matip. I can't think of any other way to explain that goal.
It was brilliant. And yeah, it's so fitting for that kind of player as well. And you're right, out of context, Joel Matip's right there. Karl, I'm going to come to you. I mean, that goal, I love the fact that our defenders do quite well on set pieces. And, seeing Joel Matip score is always a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I mean, Joel Matip's just one of those cult heroes. I mean, not in the usually a cult hero is maybe kind of an average player or less, kind of good player. But he's an excellent player, but he's also a cult hero, and it's just, he just gives you so many kind of those just tweet moments. Obviously when he kind of scared / annoyed Henderson earlier in the season with slapping him on the back of the head, and he's just such a character. And I mean, he's in the past he would be one of those that you would have described as a 50 pence head, because he'd get his head to the ball but somehow he'd never find the back of the net. But this season he's gotten among the goals, and as have all our centre halves really, which is great to see. But I just thought it was kind of funny, the goal at the time, not just the fact it was Matip, but the fact that I think the one part of our game that maybe was lacking today was our deliveries from corners. Yeah. And it was almost as if Southampton felt sorry for us, and
nobody even
helped it on into the box to find its way to Matip. So it was maybe an unlikely way to get the goal, given the way we've been playing. And as I said, the delivery hadn't been great on set plays, but it was well deserved, given that we really started to turn the screw at that point.
And really, really handy to be scoring from those kind of positions as well, because like you said, our set pieces weren't overly great today. But just in general, an observation that I've kind of been making about Liverpool, and and you only have to go back to, I'm going to say, the FA Cup final, where I thought, Liverpool started really, really bright, and it was just like basically one touch away from us scoring. So our finishing hasn't been overly great. And when you think about, obviously we've got one game left in the season, in the league, you've got a Champions League game, so you need to kind of be threatening and sharp in all aspects. You've got to take your chances, and this is where I hope the Reds really do get their shooting and heading boots on. And if we can be threatening off set pieces, and our centre backs can certainly aid us in that regard, I mean, it's only a good thing. Yeah, Joel Matip, I can't believe we got him on a free. It's pretty cool. We'll take that all day, every day. I think everyone absolutely adores Joel Matip. At the beginning of the season, we were all like, we're waiting for Joel Matip to kind of score a goal, and of course he got one against Leeds. So I think he just brings such a big smile to every Liverpool supporter's face, and what a wonderful defender he is as well. Bless him. Guys, I'm just thinking, is there any key moments from the game that you feel like needs addressing? I guess we could talk about Joe Gomez. And Karl, I will stick with you on this one. Joe Gomez, I think he's doing really well at right back. He's looked pretty decent every time he's featured there. Really, really sad to see him go off. I think we were all quite nervous and scared as to what happened there. But I think Dell's put in something there that Jurgen Klopp has said he'll be okay and it's nothing too much to worry about. So, I mean, your thoughts on that? Because, again, he's another player that looks so good, and he was a show starter with Virgil van Dijk, and then he gets injured, and then he finds himself as a fourth choice kind of, centre-back.
Yeah, I mean, he's been so unlucky with injuries
Yes.
in his career at Liverpool. Like he's not an injury-prone player. It's not like he pulls hamstrings here, there, and everywhere. It's he gets these real massive
Horrible ones.
impact
Yes.
injuries that see him out for long periods. So obviously that happened to him again last season. He's had to fight his way back. He finds that there's a lot of competition for centre back, so he's been given the opportunities at right back. And I think we've seen a clear improvement with him in that role as the season's gone on. I think obviously when myself and Lisa Marie were on for the Newcastle game, we had high praise for Gomez and his performance, and I know some fans who thought he was man of the match on the day, thought he had an excellent game. So it was another good performance from him today until he went off. And I do, we talked earlier about was I nervous when Redmond scored? No, but the one time I was nervous was when Gomez went down,
Yes.
because I just feel so bad for him, with the bad luck he's had, and he just needs a lucky break. He needs to just be able to avoid injury for a while and get a good run in the team. Because I think there is, people talk like maybe he's finished as a regular centre half for Liverpool, but I'm not so sure. I think he can work his way back in there. Some people tend to have short memories. He was part of the partnership that won us the league alongside Van Dijk. And I think he can still force his way back into that competition. But obviously, in order to do so, he needs to stay fit. He needs to get a pre-season under his belt. So it's a real relief to hear Klopp say that it was that he's likely to be okay, and hopefully we see him back in the squad on Sunday.
Fingers crossed, hopefully. Yep, Lubo there. This is Joe's first injury this season, and it does not sound like it's even that serious, which is great for him as well. We definitely need him to be in the mix of things. Steve, I'll come to you. Joe Gomez, your thoughts on him, and how do you fancy him as a bit of a right back? It's good to see him getting minutes.
I think he's vastly underrated as a right back. I was listening to Hendrik once saying that Joe can't cross, and Joe's crossing's been really good. I think he's really positive. He's very different to Trent, right? He is more like a traditional fullback when he plays right back. He overlaps. He does get into the box quite a lot, gets to the byline. He tries to cross it and cut back, but he also gives us a physical presence. And I think there are games where it's helpful to be able to play him and rest Trent, and he can go and pick a battle when you've got a team that's playing a target man as one of their front three out wide. That a team that are maybe the right-hand side isn't going to be where we're going to attack from. And now we've got, Thiago and Diaz on the left, and that's where our creativity might come from. Just having his strength and his pace, he's still pretty quick. And any way of giving him minutes that makes him want to stay, because I still feel like there is a point, if he wants to stay long-term, that he could still surpass Matip. I do think, had he not got injured, I do think we would have still signed Ibu at some point, or someone like Ibu. But I think Ibu would be fighting with Joe now, because Joe and Van Dijk just have this connection. On the pitch, they just look brilliant. Off the pitch, they are so funny together. And I think personalities and relationships and all of those off the field things that we don't see and forget about are really, really important. So I'm really pleased for Joe. I'm really pleased that it's not a serious injury. I'm pleased he's been playing really well, that he's got assists, that when he assisted for Jota, and Jota said in the post-match interview, I told Joe if he crosses it into, I'm going to score for him. The fact that that's the camaraderie around him. And he's good. And he is going to give, for example, if he's playing behind Elliott, it gives Elliott so much more space and opportunity to be the creative player on that side. While also Elliott knows he's got a guy who's 6 foot and built like a shed to coming on the overlap. And if you get the ball to him, he's not exactly going to get bullied off the ball, is he? So, yeah, I really, really like Joe. I really hope he sticks around. And some of the best defences of all time, I referenced them before, like in Milan when they had players like Costa Curta on the bench. Like, you need to have a great variety of players. And, if you just think about a bench, if you've got 7-player bench and you've got Costas and Joe, that's your entire back four covered between 2 players. Yeah, I think he's invaluable, and I hope he stays around long term. And I hope that next year maybe he plays, 15 games at right back, 15 games at centre back, and he keeps on smiling.
Absolutely. Right, guys. I think we've come to the end of this chit chat about this game. We'll get to man of the match now, but before I do, I'm going to come to Karl on this one first. 1 game to go. Still pretty much everything to play for. It's mad, isn't it? That we've taken it to the last game of the season. I know Steven Gerrard doesn't have the best of record against the top teams in terms of getting points off them, but you look back to the Steven Gerrard slip, and I don't know, could this be redemption? Do you think this is it now?
If I'm honest, I'm not saying to say my expectations are low. That would sound like a slight against this team. It's nothing to get. I'm proud of the fight and the lads.
You're just a realist, aren't you?
Exactly. 2018 is too fresh in my memory. I every week there we obviously I'd watch City, and it was tied with them against Burnley. It was tight, and I'd be expecting they'd drop points and then they'd come up with a winner. So I kind of said to myself, we ended up in the similar position this time around after we drew at City, that I wasn't going to torture myself. So I was just going to see what happens, and that's really what I'm going to be doing on Sunday, is seeing what happens. Obviously I'll watch ourselves. I'll be hoping for win and expecting win. I'm sure we'll go out and beat Wolves at Anfield, just like we did in 2018. We won our game, we did our business, and we left it up to City, and just unfortunately they did theirs too. And that's my expectation. But it's nice to have the chance. And as far as Aston Villa go, I do expect they'll give it their all. Gerrard will want it. I think Coutinho will want it for Liverpool. He still has a lot of friends there. Danny Ings has a lot of friends there. And I think with those former Liverpool players and a former Liverpool players, their manager, I think the rest of the Villa players will give it their best. I don't think they'll be on the beach. I think that they will try and put in a performance. It might not be good enough at the end of the day, but at least we have that opportunity to win it on the final day. We didn't kind of the last 2 games against Villa, and then tonight, we could have easily just slipped up and then said, well, City, we're going to win it anyway. That's not the way you want to do it. You want to give yourself every chance at winning the league, and I'm glad we're hanging in there with that chance. And I said, no matter what happens, we can be proud of our performances in the league. And I don't think the league was lost at Tottenham. I don't think the league was lost at Man City. I think it's not realistic to expect a team to go and win 18 games on the trot and win the league that way. It's just it's
me. It was the early draws, and it was like that loss to Leicester City. It's those kind.
Exactly.
It was too many draws. I agree with you on that one.
We had a lot of injuries in the midfield earlier in the season. We talked about, obviously, Elliott was out for a long spell. Thiago was out a lot at that point. Fabinho missed
Brighton
games
as well this season. Yeah, we did. We drew to Brighton as well.
We drew to Brentford.
Yes,
another terrible performance. So, I think midfield injuries for me, that's where I'll be pointing the finger when it comes to where this league was won lost. And Man City fans, because that's excuses. They can say what they want, but the facts are facts. We had a lot of injuries in midfield, and it's no coincidence that's when we dropped points earlier in the season. So, I'm not going to get too frustrated about Tottenham or Man City, and I'm going to be proud of the effort this team made to create a title challenge out of nothing. I think someone put in the chat there a few minutes ago that the league table back in January, we were 14 points behind, albeit with a couple games in hand, but to get it down to a sole point, that's an incredible achievement over a few months of football. So credit to Klopp and the lads.
Absolutely. And Steve, same question to you.
If we don't win the league this weekend, I don't see any failure or any negative aspects whatsoever. I think I'm right in saying that we are the only team to ever have not won the league with over 90 points. And we're going up against a sport washing establishment. We're not going up against a fair playing field. And any other league, any other experience, if there isn't a Pep City, we still get over 90 points this year, and we've walked the league. So I think we should be incredibly proud of the team, and I think we're going to smash Madrid because we owe them. Though Trev says if it's penalties, I've got to join in. I don't want that. I can't cope any more penalties. But I think we're going to smash. I think we're going to smash Madrid. I think we're going to get at least 3 trophies. We're going to make the final game of the season so goddamn exciting for the first time in forever. And there are so many stories. Obviously, there's lots of talk about Stevie and Danny Ings and obviously Coutinho. I was joking on Discord or WhatsApp earlier that, final day of the season, Phil and Bobby are getting winners because that would just be magical. But the thing that really pissed me off this week is when Jack Grealish, with his boy band hair, started talking about how the big story this weekend was him potentially winning at Villa. That makes me wanting to fucking bottle it more than anything else.
Well, he did when it mattered against Madrid.
The story is not about Jack Grealish and his terrible haircut and his 100 million transfer. He's the least important player that weekend. So I think he's going to do something dreadful and Villa are going to get a result.
Hopefully,
yeah. The 4 trophy Reds.
Yeah, he's just, I can't stand him. I call him B-Tech Beckham. And you know what made me kind of sick on a personal level? First of all, I don't look at footballers like this, plus like a bit old for this now, but like the way girls were going gaga over him in the Euros, he's ugly. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. I just think he's awful.
He's no Alison Becker, is he?
I'm sorry, no, you're like boy band hair. Maybe I'm too old, maybe my taste is more refined, but no. No. Just going to put that out there. Anyway, enough of that. That is just the most random chit chat ever. Yeah, but I can't stand him. He's awful. Let's move on swiftly. Man of the match. Steve, I'll come to you first. Who's your man of the match and why? Lisa's laughing, by the way. I think she agrees with me.
It was nearly Ibu because I've written down Southampton cross, Ibu clears about 5,000 times today. But it's Bobby. I'm sorry, it's Bobby. Bobby was fucking fantastic. Bobby was smiling. He should have scored. And we won, and he played, and that's enough.
Absolutely. Bobby Firmino. And we won, and it is more than enough. And what about you, Karl? Who was your man of the match?
Yeah, I think Bobby's definitely in with a strong shout, but to be different, I'm going to go with someone else. I think maybe Elliot, if he'd played an extra 10 minutes, would have been in with a shout as well. And Kanate is another option. But I'm going to go with a less obvious choice. And I'm actually going to go with James Milner. I talked about, I made a joke about the age handicap when he got the man of the match from Sky against Newcastle after a good game. But I actually thought this was a better game from today. I think put up a stat at one point when he was playing in midfield where, he created 5 chances.
Yes.
Whereas everyone else had only created the 1, and he just kept winning the ball back. He even injured himself, hurt himself at one point with a great challenge. And when he had to move to fullback, he was up against Nathan Redmond, who tends to bring his best games against Liverpool for some reason. And obviously he was on a high having scored that goal, and I think despite the pace disadvantage, I think Milner had a good battle with him, and he stuck in there, whether it was Redmond out there or obviously Broa kind of drifting out that side. So I'm going to give it to James Milner. I thought it was a solid display from him, and one in which he showed kind of all aspects of his game.
Absolutely, and the diversity as well, moving to right back as well. Yeah, I saw that stat as well, and he was really getting stuck in, and he did have a decent game. Almost got injured as well with that little hospital pass from Joel Matip, but I think it's Simon Brundish that used to call him Ironborn, but got up on his feet, and it was quite a nasty one as well. So yeah, James Milner, I like it. We don't play him much, but when he comes on now, he it's like all his energy is like sort of reserved for what he needs to do. Guys, we have come to the end of this show. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for everyone that joined us live. Quite a lot of you are on Discord today, so we really, really appreciate it. Tweet us your man of the match. Let us know your thoughts. Give us your feedback. Let us know your thoughts for the weekend, and thank you so much to all you excellent people. Thank you to our callers. Kieran and Lisa Marie, really, really appreciated your input into the show. And of course, a massive thank you to these two excellent gents. But before I let them go, I'm going to get some plugs on where you can find them on social media. Karl, I will come to you first. Where can people find you on social media? And is there anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at KMac of the Cop. As far as plugs, nothing at the moment, but I am planning a chat with Mr. Guy Drinkle once the season ends and see about getting one up on the go again, especially as we head into that busy news season for video games, the traditional E3 time. So if you're into your games, keep an eye out for that, because I'm sure we will have some shows up over the summer.
No rest for the wicked. Yeah, do check that out. And I'm sure we have so many gamers, and of course we're on a platform that is loved by gamers, right? Discord. So I'm sure there's plenty on here that will really appreciate those podcasts as well. Not a gamer myself. Maybe I need to start. Better late than never. And Steve, I'm going to come to you. Where can people find you on social media? And is there anything you'd like to plug, specifically, post-match show that you were part of? I don't know.
You can find me on Twitter on Stephen_B_A, and that's Stephen spelt properly with a PH, for all my wonderful opinions. And I don't have anything to plug, because if I'm back on AI in the next month, it means something's gone fucking wrong and there's more penalties again against Madrid.
Bless you. Well, we love hearing you on the podcast. But yeah, give both of these a follow. They are excellent people to follow. For my part, I will be back for the final episode of the Nina Kauser Show of the season. And yeah, let's hope it's, a little bit of an iconic one. And of course, Euro Incision will be back as well, where we will be looking, well, hopefully we're talking about Liverpool winning the European Cup for the 7th time. It's the hope that keeps you alive, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and till next time, up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index, and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.